There's a real difference between regular eaters, aka normies, and the rest of the world. When a normie sets out to eat just a couple of spoonfuls of ice cream on a hot summer season day, but find themselves at the bottom of the ice cream container, they think, "Oh man, I am so full." They shrug their shoulders, walk off their distended stomach, and carry on with their day, not thinking about it again. They don't obsess about what just took place, and they continue eating their typical amount of food the next day. What happens after the ice cream? When a disordered eater or a binge eater hits the end of the ice cream container, it's a very different story. A binge eater will feel guilty for eating the whole container and may continue to cookies, sweets, and more food, despite the fact that they aren't hungry, because they already broke one of their guidelines of no ice cream and now are out to binge on other tasty treats that they see as bad and don't suit their system or diet plan. A binge eater cannot brush off the pint of ice cream. They harp on it. A binge eater will beat themselves up for hours or days after they ate the carton of ice cream. They spend time thinking about what a failure they are, how things will never ever get much better, and begin obsessing about their weight and promising themselves they will only eat healthy food tomorrow. They compromise with that critical voice in their head by assuring to reduce the number of calories tomorrow to make up for today, or to begin a juice cleanse to help negate the ice cream. They negotiate with themselves and testify do better tomorrow. It's not about the food. The distinction between a regular eater and a binge eater has absolutely nothing to do with the food or perhaps the amount of food. A typical eater and a binge eater can eat the specific very same pint of ice cream and respond completely differently. It has everything to do with the emotion behind the food and the limitation and rigidness that follows. How you feel after you eat, what story you are telling yourself while you are eating, and what happens following the ice cream. It involves the rules you put on yourself, giving an ethical label to food as good or bad, and therefore identifying yourself for picking a food from the bad list. An unhealthy relationship with food includes basing your self-regard, your feelings, your feeling, and your day on how well you followed your food guidelines that day, whatever those guidelines could be. It's pulling emotion into food and putting food on pedestal that it doesn't belong. It's giving food the power to choose whether you have been ethically good or bad. It's a tough way to live, and there's no rejecting that it can be a pretty hard cycle to break. The bright side is that it is possible to break the cycle and stop living that way. There are those that have broken free from obsessing about food and disordered eaters who end up being normies. They used to binge on ice cream and cookies, and now enjoy ice cream when they please, which they find they want much less now since there are no rules around it, and do not beat themselves up after delighting in an ice cream sundae on a hot summer season day. There is hope, and people can change. The primary step? Determining you really need help and starting the process of recovery by finding an expert to help you along the way.